All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into the Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro.
Okay.
This phone kind of made some waves back in 2020.
Yeah.
And we're really curious to see if it holds up in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be looking at an article from RechargeMyTopup.com
Okay.
that goes into a lot of detail about this phone.
Sounds good.
So, what do you think is like the most striking thing about this phone when you first look at the specs?
I think what's fascinating is that they really tried to pack in as many high-end features as they could.
Yeah.
And still keep the price reasonable.
Right.
So, even for its time, it was pushing the boundaries in terms of what you could get for your money.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things that really stands out to me is that 144 hertz refresh rate display.
Oh, yeah.
144 hertz. I mean, is that even noticeable to the average user?
It makes a huge EE difference,
Oh.
especially when you're interacting with the phone a lot, scrolling through things, browsing the web,
Yeah.
gaming. Everything just feels incredibly smooth and responsive. It's hard to go back once you've experienced it.
So you're saying that it's not just like a marketing gimmick?
No, not at all. It's a very tangible improvement.
Okay, I'm sold.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've got this super smooth display, but a smooth display needs like a powerful engine behind it, right?
Absolutely. You need the horsepower to drive all those pixels.
Right.
And the Mi 10T Pro has that with its Snapdragon 865.
Okay.
Now, this was a top-of-the-line processor back in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the brain of the phone, and this brain is still pretty sharp.
Yep.
It can handle pretty much anything you throw at it, even today.
So even though it's a few years old,
Yeah.
you're saying it could still keep up with demanding tasks.
Absolutely. Think
Yeah.
video editing, running multiple design programs simultaneously.
Wow.
No problem.
Okay, that's impressive. And of course, on top of that, you've got 8 GBs of RAM,
Yes.
which means you can have like a ton of apps open at once, switch between them without any lag.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It can juggle all those tasks without breaking a sweat.
Okay, but all this power needs a battery that can keep up right.
Right. You don't want to be tethered to a charger all day.
Exactly.
And the Mi 10T Pro delivers in that department too.
Okay, how so?
It's packing a massive 5,000 mAh battery.
5,000 mAh.
Yeah, that's pretty huge.
Yeah, that's bigger than a lot of phones even today.
Exactly. To put that into perspective, many phones these days have batteries around 4,000 mAh.
Okay.
So this extra capacity means you could potentially get 2 full days of use.
Wow, 2 full days.
Yeah, depending on how you use it, of course.
On a single charge.
On a single charge, yeah.
So you're telling me I could go like a whole weekend
Potentially, yeah.
without having to charge my phone?
It's possible.
That's amazing. But I have to ask, with a battery that big,
Yeah.
does that mean the phone is like super bulky and heavy?
That's a valid concern. You don't want a phone that feels like a brick in your pocket.
Right.
It's not the slimmest phone out there,
Okay.
but Xiaomi has managed to keep it relatively manageable in terms of size and weight.
Okay, good to know. Now, I'm pretty interested in the camera.
Yeah.
The Mi 10T Pro has this triple camera setup. You've got a 64 MP main camera, a 13 MP ultra wide, and a 5 MP macro lens.
It's a versatile setup.
It is, but how do the photos actually look?
From what we've seen, the camera delivers great results.
Okay.
The main camera captures sharp, well-lit photos, even in challenging lighting conditions.
So it can handle low light?
It does a pretty good job.
Okay, and what about that ultra wide lens?
That's perfect for expansive landscapes or, fitting a whole group of friends into a shot.
Right. And then there's that macro lens.
Yeah, that one's for getting up close and personal.
So like extreme close-ups.
Exactly. Imagine capturing the intricate details of a flower.
Okay.
Or, the texture of a fabric.
Yeah.
That's what this lens allows you to do.
Okay, so you can really get those tiny details
You can.
that you might otherwise miss.
Yeah, it's a fun lens to play around with.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like a pretty versatile camera setup. What about the software?
Okay.
I know it's running Android 10,
Yes.
which is a bit older now,
It is a few years old.
but it has Xiaomi's MIUI interface on top of it.
Right.
So what's that like?
MIUI is known for offering a lot of customization options,
Okay.
which some users love.
Mm-hmm.
You can really tweak the look and feel of your phone.
Yep.
However, it's quite different from stock Android.
Okay.
And some people find it a bit cluttered or overwhelming.
So it's a bit of a mixed bag.
It depends on your preferences, really.
Right. So it sounds like we've got a smooth display, a powerful processor, a versatile camera, and a massive battery.
So far, so good.
But what about all the other features?
Well, there's a lot more to explore.
Okay.
Like the fingerprint sensor for security, and for those who haven't fully embraced the wireless world, it still has a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack.
You know what? I think we need to take like a deeper dive into all those features.
Yeah.
Maybe look at some potential downsides, too.
Yeah.
What do you say we unpack all of that in part 2?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so welcome back. We're still exploring this Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro.
Yeah.
We talked about that amazing 144 hertz display.
Right.
That Snapdragon 865 processor that can still hold its own. The triple camera system that gives you a lot of versatility.
It does.
And, of course, that massive 5,000 milliamp battery.
Yeah, it's a beast.
It is a beast, but there's still a lot more to this phone.
There is.
So let's dive into some of those other features. The article mentions a fingerprint sensor.
Yeah.
Pretty standard these days, right?
I mean, most phones have them now.
Yeah.
But it's worth noting that the Mi 10T Pro's sensor is on the side.
Okay.
Integrated into the power button.
Oh, that's nice.
It's really convenient and it's super fast and accurate.
Okay, so no more fumbling around on the back of the phone.
Nope.
Okay, that's a nice touch. Literally. What about audio?
Okay.
I see it has a headphone jack.
It does.
Which is becoming increasingly rare.
Yeah. It seems like every new phone that comes out is bitching the headphone jack.
Right.
But Xiaomi was like, nah, we're keeping it old school.
So for people who still prefer wired headphones.
Yeah. Or maybe they just like having the option.
Yeah.
The Mi 10T Pros got you covered.
And I noticed the article also mentioned high-res audio support.
Yo.
Does that really make a noticeable difference?
It can if you have like high quality headphones.
So,
high-res audio files contain more detail and nuance. So you get a richer, more immersive listening experience.
So whether you're listening to music
Yeah.
or podcasts or whatever,
Right.
you're going to get like a clearer, more detailed sound.
Exactly.
Okay, so we talked about MIUI,
Yes.
Xiaomi's custom Android interface.
Right.
And you mentioned it's quite different from stock Android.
It is.
Can you give us some specific examples of like how it's different?
Sure. One of the biggest things is the level of customization you have.
Okay.
MIUI lets you tweak almost every aspect of the interface.
Wow, so like what kind of things can you change?
You can change the icons,
Okay.
the themes, the notification sounds, the system animations.
Wow.
I mean, you can really make it your own.
Okay. That sounds pretty cool.
It is.
But I can also see how it could get overwhelming
Oh, yeah, definitely.
for someone who's not super tech savvy.
It's a lot to take in.
Is it easy to use even if you're not like a tech whiz?
I mean, MIUI has gotten more user-friendly over the years.
Okay.
But there's still a learning curve. It's not as intuitive as stock Android.
Okay.
So it might take some time to get used to all the options and settings.
All right. So it sounds like a powerful interface.
It is.
Very flexible,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe not the best choice for everyone.
Right. If you prefer simplicity, stick with stock Android.
Okay. So let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about some potential downsides
Right.
because no phone is perfect, right?
Of course, not every phone has its quirks.
So what are some of the quirks of the Mi 10T Pro?
Well, one thing some people might not love is that it has an LCD screen
Okay.
instead of an OLED.
Now, I got to admit, I'm a sucker for those like deep blacks and vibrant colors you get with OLED.
Oh, yeah. OLEDs are beautiful.
But is the LCD that bad?
I mean, it's not a bad screen.
Okay.
It gets bright.
Mm-hmm.
The colors are accurate.
Okay.
It's perfectly fine for everyday use.
All right.
But if you're used to OLED, you might notice a difference.
Okay, so it's not like a deal breaker,
No, not at all.
but it's something to be aware of.
Right.
Okay. Anything else that might give potential buyers pause?
Well, we've touched on the MIUI thing, which can be a bit much for some people.
Yeah.
Another thing is that the phone doesn't have expandable storage.
Okay.
So it comes with 128 gigabit of internal storage,
Mm-hmm.
which is decent,
Yeah.
but there's no micro SD card slot.
So you can't add more storage.
Exactly. So if you're someone who downloads a lot of movies,
Yeah.
takes tons of photos,
Right.
keeps a massive music library on your phone, that 128 GB might fill up faster than you'd like.
Yeah, especially with those high-resolution photos and 4K videos.
Oh, yeah, those can eat up space quickly.
Okay, so that's definitely something to keep in mind
Yeah.
if you're a heavy user.
Right.
But overall, it sounds like the Mi 10T Pro still has a lot to offer,
It does.
even a few years after its release.
Yeah, especially when you consider the price.
Right, because this phone was launched at €600
Yeah, which is a pretty aggressive price point.
for the specs and features it offers.
Absolutely.
So it really sounds like they were going for that flagship experience
They were.
without the flagship price tag.
Exactly.
So, should we wrap things up here?
There's one more crucial aspect
Okay.
that we need to address.
What's that?
The phone's build quality and durability.
Okay.
Let's save that for the final part.
Okay. So we're back and we're wrapping up our deep dive into this Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro.
Yeah.
And we've covered a lot of ground. You know, we talked about the display, the processor, the cameras, the battery.
Right.
Even the software quirks.
Yeah, we've looked at the good, the great, and maybe even a few things that aren't so ideal.
Exactly. But there's one last thing we got to talk about before we wrap things up.
Right, and that's how this phone feels in your hand.
The build quality.
Yeah, the build quality and durability.
So what did you find out about that?
Well, the Mi 10T Pro definitely feels solid.
Okay.
You know, well made. It's got a glass front and back with an aluminum frame.
So it's got that premium look and feel.
It does. It feels nice.
But glass phones, you know,
yeah,
they're always a bit nerve-wracking.
They can be a bit fragile.
What if you drop it?
That's a valid concern, but Xiaomi have added some durability features to give you a little peace of mind.
Like what?
Well, for starters, it's got Gorilla Glass 5 on both the front and back.
Okay.
Which is designed to resist scratches and cracks.
So it can handle a few bumps and scrapes.
Yeah. It should be able to survive everyday wear and tear.
And what about water resistance?
It has an IP53 rating.
Okay, so what does that mean exactly?
It means it's protected against dust and light splashes of water.
Okay, so it can handle like a drizzle.
Yeah.
But you probably shouldn't take it swimming.
Probably not.
Right. Okay, so we've talked a lot about this phone.
We have.
But let's bring it all back to our listener.
Okay.
What's the takeaway here?
Well, I think the Mi 10T Pro is a great example of a phone that punches above its weight class.
Okay.
It was designed to offer a premium experience, but at a more accessible price point.
Right.
And even though it came out in 2020, it still holds its own in a lot of ways.
So if you're looking for a phone with a great display, powerful performance, good camera, all-day battery life, this phone is definitely worth considering.
It is. And remember, technology is always evolving.
Yeah.
But you don't always need the latest and greatest to have a great experience.
Exactly. It's all about finding the right tool for your needs and your budget.
And sometimes a phone that's a couple years old can be a fantastic value.
Absolutely. So do your research.
Yeah.
Read reviews, compare prices. You know, maybe this phone from 2020 is the perfect fit for you in 2025.
You never know.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for our deep dive into the Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro.
I think so.
We hope you found this helpful and insightful.
I did our best.
And remember, stay curious, keep exploring, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
See you then.